informed by facts and driven by truth. Broadcasting live from beautiful British Columbia, it's RoadKill Radio.
Hello, I'm Ron Gray. This is RoadKill Radio News, and with me in the studio is Kari Simpson.
Yes, in our own RoadKill Radio universe, Whee! Mr. Gray.
All right. So the first item you wanted to talk about is...
Well, let's just explain. We're just going to do an update because there's been so much happening that we're just going to go bang, bang, bang through a few issues that are directly affecting you and your family that you should know about and you should be updated on.
Very important is that the Attorney General of Canada has reacted to the British Columbia Supreme Court's decision on assisted suicide in the Gloria Taylor case and has decided to appeal that decision to the Supreme Court of Canada. And
you know what, Ron? I believe many of our viewers at RoadKill Radio can take credit for their letters, their calls to the Attorney General. Certainly this is an issue that's been near and dear to our hearts and one that we followed very closely on RoadKill Radio. We just recently had Alex Schattenberg, who's been very involved. He is a brilliant spokesman on behalf of the issues, the very serious issues involved in euthanasia. And of course, he is the international chair, I believe, for the Euthanasia Prevention Coalition and does a fantastic job. So people go to roadkillradio.com, obviously you know where it is, and look up our recent shows on the issues involving the Attorney General and the fight for life and the protection of the elderly. You know, elder abuse, Ron, is becoming a more and more serious, talked about subject matter now. More and more people are coming out and talking about what goes on in some of the care homes, some families. A very serious issue, one that lends itself direct correlation to the issues involving euthanasia.
Well, and in the Netherlands, in Oregon, where euthanasia has been legalized, we have seen abuses, people whose lives have been terminated without their consent. But equally important, and Alex made this point, we made this point on our program, is that 2 years ago, Parliament addressed this question and decided not to legalize euthanasia or assisted suicide in Canada. And I, for one, am tired of the activists who keep raising the question, and when we say no, they say no, wrong answer, ask again.
Well, judge shopping. We'll just find a judge who finally, because we're so persistent, hears this. No, I agree with you. It's abuse of our taxes. It's abuse of our courts. It's time consuming, and government should look at this. I mean, the courts need to look at this and say, already dealt with, decided long ago. Yep.
All right, next item on our agenda is the controversy over the study by University of Texas professor Mark Regnerus, who did what is now the most extensive research into same-sex parenting and its effect on children.
Well, and gold standard has been the term referenced.
Gold standard, because of the size of his sample. All the previous studies have been very tiny, selected samples.
Well, and let's talk about that, Ron. I know from my research, when I go and look at how these studies are done, that usually on the pro-homosexual front, it's with an isolated group. In their group, they pick and choose whom they want. One study here in Canada that so many of the schools are relying on, advertised online. They don't even know if the participants that participated in this even exist. But so this was a very broad and Mark makes this well known. He said, look, I just took a wide sampling because we want to find out. Children are important enough, hopefully, in North America that we should find out the truth about this.
And on 40 criteria that they measured, out of 40 criteria, on 25 of them, children raised by same-sex parents did significantly worse. The children themselves, now adults, reported significantly worse outcomes.
Yeah, everything from needing psychological help to breakdown in their own family marriages and their life. Clearly, there is a problem. That's not to say every single same-sex union who's raising children will have these problems, but overall there was a measurable negative attached to same-sex parenting. Oh, and as I was reading the comments, because of course now the sex activists have engaged their typical tactics, of attack, instead of saying, oh, wait a minute, maybe this is important, maybe we care enough about kids that we should really look at this. No, let's attack the messenger, And so the good professor is now finding himself in the typical hot water. I think that everybody anticipates, and you know what, Ron, maybe we're actually getting to that point now where universities, different levels of higher education, different professional groups are starting to go, we're getting a little tired of these sex activist whinings. Maybe their little temper tantrums are significant to the point of, well, we have a pattern here and maybe we should start measuring that. Maybe truth doesn't matter to them. Maybe just squawking and screaming and squealing, like a kid in the line for a candy bar at the grocery store. Maybe it's time we just spank them a little bit.
And maybe children do better with parents of two genders.
Oh, well, a natural mother and father, I think
their own
we know
biological
this.
parents.
Hello, as a single parent, who raised two kids through unfortunate circumstances of their father becoming ill, let's give kids a little bit of credit for knowing what's in their best interest, and that is their mother and their father. And let's work towards that end.
Yeah. Look, you have been a single parent. I have been a single parent. I know lots of single parents. Every one of them that I know will admit they do the best they can, but the best for the children is to have their two biological parents both concerned about their well-being. No one will ever love your kids as much as you.
Now, why doesn't somebody attack me for giving that message? Whoa, wait a minute. I, as a single parent, no, they wouldn't dare. So the poor professor, but to his rescue, a number of other people within his field of expertise are now standing up for him, saying, no, the criteria for which he based this study on, excellent. We're seeing voices counter the screaming. Oh, what's the name of that theater group here in BC? Do I dare say it? Oh, it's called the Screaming Weenies. And yes, we do have a theater troupe called that does get taxpayer money. But I'm thinking maybe we need to craft a term. I know your innocent ears, but you get to the point.
No, it's my innocent wallet. You're giving them.
Oh. You didn't know.
You're telling me they're getting taxpayer money. It's my wallet that hurts.
It's your
not
wallet that screw. No, I think we need to come up with a term for the temper tantrum sex activists, that just make this tactics, and we've saw it,
hissy fit isn't good enough?
Oh, hissy fit's good. That works for me. All right, what's next on your list, Mr. Gray?
You've brought me a story that I had not seen before, that Americans' confidence in television news drops to a new low.
I know. I was afraid to give that to you because I thought you just might find it so shocking. I know how much confidence you have in the modern-day media.
The findings are from a Gallup poll. And Gallup
United States. This is U.S., yeah.
It is American, but one of the factors that I think has contributed to the decline of confidence, viewer confidence.
One of the factors, he's getting specific people.
Is the concentration of ownership of news media and the interlocking. Well, ta-da, that's worse in Canada than it is in the United States.
Are you trying to outshock me now?
Shall I guess? My best. Yes, you may guess.
No, it is a very true fact, isn't it?
So if Americans' graph of confidence is trending downward, Canadians should be in the same direction. If we could get Gallup to do a poll up here, I think we would find that's true.
But, it's interesting, and I do like the fact that it's actually, it's sending a big message here to the media. But what do we do about it? Well, what we do about it here at RoadKill is we bring you these weekly broadcasts. We bring you a whole line of other shows that bring you good information. And, technology nowadays gives all of us the opportunity to get our facts, look and do the research ourselves with a few clicks of the button, and not be at the mercy of the idiotology, you got that, not ideology, idiotology of so many politically correct movements, because I think that's what people are saying. We don't want our news to be bought out by special interest groups. We don't want our news. Remember the editor that we had on our show?
Yes.
We
speaking anonymously.
Speaking anonymously, but he was very forthcoming in saying, no, news media is now crafting the stories, what stories they'll touch, what stories they won't, to the whims and wishes of those that are controlling the purse strings. That is not news reporting.
That's right.
You're an old news hound. Tell me, what have you seen change from your day? Because there was a day when you tried to be factual. Was there? I mean, give us a little bit of hope that, the Fifth Estate actually, had a good purpose in our democracy.
Well, the journalism schools have begun to teach that because you cannot be they began in the 1970s to teach because you cannot be perfectly objective, you might as well be subjective. Well, that's a debasing of the standard of journalism. I've also noticed that especially television news has become more and more gossip-oriented, more and more reporting on their own network's shows as though it were news. So between shows and gossip and sports, there's not much time left for any actual news reportage or analysis.
Oh, you mean like important events like Kari Simpson taking on the Supreme Court of Canada justices and those kinds of things?
I haven't read that anywhere in the major news media. No, I have not seen that.
Well, and let's do a Drive for Justice update. It obviously doesn't surprise us here at RoadKill. I should just give a little bit of background to the Drive for Justice campaign. Of course, this involves a very serious matter involving the courts, an abuse of justice, a breach of the rule of law, judges who were sitting on cases who shouldn't act. You couldn't write a better movie of the week, could you, Ron Gray?
It's a dramatic story.
It beats any reality series out there.
It does.
Now, the Drive for Justice campaign, and in part, RoadKill Radio's entire existence can sort of be attributed to the Supreme Court of Canada for that matter. We knew when all the interveners in our case were from the media sorts that probably we weren't going to get too much fair play if there were problems with this court case, and certainly the problems have proved far more extensive than what even my wild imagination, and my imagination can be pretty wild, people could come up with. And years ago, of course, I found out that the judge sitting on my case had involved herself in activities that are tantamount to the obstruction of justice. Yeah. She should not have been sitting on my case. I don't think there's any qualms about that. The question is, what are we all going to do about it? And what's Kari Simpson going to do about it? And nobody really has all the details. Well, we have all the details. You will have all the details. But I thought, we should make this an educational adventure. Certainly the courts, the playing field there isn't quite fair. So when we broke this story, and a lot of you probably are aware, I've written to the Prime Minister giving the details of these events that you need to become familiar with, because this isn't just about my case. This is a case about truth. This is a case about justice. This is a case about every one of us having rights under the Charter, and those rights being violated by those who are entrusted to
with
safeguard them. I know.
Yeah.
Only me, Ron. No, it's not only me. That's the problem. It's all of us, because there has been case after case after case now where we have seen a pattern of abuse within the court, a pattern of abuse of our constitutional rights, a pattern of abuse of the law and the role of Parliament versus the role of courts in our democracy. It has to stop, people. So you need to get informed.
So, to get informed, go to driveforjustice.com and watch the story unfold.
Well, and get involved in the facts. We need your support. We need your voices. I need you to be calling your MP, demanding that this matter be dealt with. This affects every Canadian.
That's true. Kari has written to the Prime Minister and asked for corrective measures and the protection of the rule of law. But your Member of Parliament has to support that appeal. And your Member of Parliament will only do that if you and you and you and you contact your MP and say, We support this. Go to driveforjustice.com, get the details, then call your MP.
Well, and not only that, I think you'll like what we're doing with Drive for Justice. Ron Gray, week after week, appears with a narration of the story to help everybody understand how this story unfolded. Because what you read from the court decision versus the true facts are the tale of two different stories, that's for sure.
It is. And I think it was in one of those court proceedings that one of the judges said, just because your opinions are a bit different, you shouldn't become roadkill on the information superhighway. That's where RoadKill Radio got its name.
Well, I'm not sure that's exactly what he said. He says, come on, Kari Simpson's roadkill on the highway of public controversy.
Well,
welcome to my world, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Quick updates. Please check out all these stories. Go back to the stories that interest you and get some more details. Follow the euthanasia case. Keep reminding the Attorney General and the Prime Minister of Canada that you value life, that you value protecting all members of our society, and that these cases have already been decided, and to stop wasting your money, my money, and our great-great-great-grandchildren's money at this point.
Stay tuned to RoadKill Radio. We'll see you in the future.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
You've been listening to RoadKill Radio. Join us again next week for another trip down the superhighway of information, fact, and truth.